Hello and welcome to this week 6 spoiler log co-pilot key sanity matchup between two undefeated teams. I like Big Boots and kinda rando retired. My name's Unknown Availability and I'm with Jex Reffy. How are you?
I am doing well, and as you're pointing out, we got the hype today because we've got two undefeated teams from the Kakariko division. We've got zer0rush from I Like Big Boots and Super Nintendo from Kinda Rando Retired. And I gotta say, this we were talking about beforehand. This may be the fastest race in the whole league this league regular season.
Yeah, this is a really, honestly, kind of crazy match to think that is happening. No other division has two undefeated teams. Every one of them has a team that is far away ahead, and a couple of them have an undefeated team, but no division has two. And coming out of tonight, we will have a loss on one of these teams. Now, here's the funny thing. They have to play again. So one of their teammates is going to be playing each other, and then it could just be that they just end up knocking each other out of the undefeated list. So that's going to be fun to see for sure. Now, you see the runners, zer0rush and SuperNinTaylor, they are going to be piloted by Relkin and Kyong. So I want to point that out, that this is actually going to be literally somebody giving information to these runners and telling them where to go and where's what and what's where. So that's going to be amazing to just see how fast these amazing runners go. They're going to be skipping hearts. They're going to be skipping armors. They're going to be probably getting minimum swords and basically getting the items just to clear the dungeons. That's it. They're going to be going as low percent as possible.
Yeah, exactly. So, sorry, didn't mean to step on you there.
No, go ahead.
Well, we're underway, but that's exactly to your point. Like, right now, you've got Relkin and Kyong going through this log, trying to figure out where everything is, and basically trying to figure out what is the fastest way for this seed to be completed. And so they're going to be helping each other. And actually, like, in the races that I've done, now is kind of a point where you're going to see both runners kind of stall for time a little bit. You see zer0rush doing a Houlihan, SuperNinTaylor making his way to Lost Woods, because basically right now they have got to get through this log to start developing, okay, where are we going? What are we doing?
And I like the idea. See, I like both options here, in all honesty.
Except when zer0rush failed the Houlihan. That's a problem.
Yeah, that confused me for a second. I was like, wait, what? He went for the bottom. He actually, he needed to go from the top. He actually set that incorrectly. You got to be offset in order to get that. But at the same time, the fact that they're trying to just kind of kill time at the same time as letting their pilots figure out where to go, doing Houlihan's a wonderful option because that gets you money in case you need Zora, and it also lets you buy bombs to be able to get into different spots. But they can also see whether or not they need bombs because they can look at the log. They can see what's there. As you can see, we already skipped Blind's hut, and here we're going into the well to get our first items.
Right. So you got a glove in the well, you got the boots, you got a key to GT, and another key to Skullwoods. Now, what we don't know is we don't know if the item behind the bomb wall was actually something necessary. You would assume probably not, considering the fact that Taylor is not worrying about it. And we got
immediately going to get a sword, yeah.
Yep.
So, one of the interesting things to point out here is whether or not the small key to Swamp Palace is going to be needed. Now, as commentators, we have access to the spoiler log, but both Jex and I agreed we're gonna watch it with you. We're not gonna sit here and look ahead and cheat ourselves. We want to be just as surprised as you are. So there was something behind the bomb wall. Or, oh, never mind.
No.
Picking up.
Yep.
Now, as of right now, it does kind of look like it's going to be an aggro required seed. because we see the sword. Now, the weird thing is, SuperNinTaylor didn't go pick up the sword from the back of tavern. They left it.
He might come back, though. Okay. We had a request from Drossi in chat. Can we at least announce what the crystals and pendants are? I can certainly do that. We've got the 5-6 crystals at Pod and Swamp Palace. We have the green pendant at Skullwoods, and we have the other pendants at Ice and Mire.
Yeah, so that is actually not a bad thing to ask for. We don't mind doing that for that sake.
There was the Master Sword at the back of Blind's hut.
So that means SuperNinTaylor left 2 swords behind. But going to go ahead and do Houlihan, I'm wondering if this is just to be able to buy certain things because they know what's behind buy walls, or if they are actually planning on going to Zora at some point, because I noticed that they're picking up money as well. That they're actually aiming to get money. So, already mapping out their pod keys and things like that, which, you know, gonna need at least 1 pod small key to get back to the boss. It's possible that Bottle Merchant is required, but I kind of doubt it, because you would think SuperNinTaylor would probably have had the money by then. Or, I don't know, again, I'm not even sure how they run these seeds, because this is both of their team's first matches in the spoiler match. Mm-hmm. So...
And the one thing we should point out is they got the log as the race was starting. So at word go, that was when they got the log. So we got Titan's Mitts from the old man. So,
but no Moon Pearl. So the Moon Pearl is possibly just sitting out there ready to grab in a really awkward spot. But zer0rush is going back and doing their Houlihan room, so this might actually be coming up to get the Bottle Merchant. Okay, it's a key. Must be pod. Yeah, I was gonna say must be a pod key. But going to King's Tomb, ew! You had to go up to the Death Mountain to get the mirror to go further in Death Mountain. It seems. That's fun.
That's pretty nasty. I mean, that's like one of the practice seeds that I did with my teammate Matt 7898. We did one where it was like coffee break. Hera had the mushroom, and the mushroom led to requirement. Oh, by the way, it was pendant Hera. So that's the thing about these races is they're just as nasty. The only saving grace is that we know where everything is.
Yeah, so one thing that they are doing right now is going to be going up and probably heading right into Hera. I wouldn't be surprised if Hera is a big key to pod. So now we have the big key to pod. So something they're going to need is in Hera. Is it a French vanilla?
We won't know.
It's the flute. Wow, man. So is this oh wow. So here's the funny thing about this key sanity deal is they can send them on a huge wild goose chase to finally get to the Moon Pearl. So he's going to go activate this flute and probably head right over into the Mire area, because it seems like the Moon Pearl might be in that checkerboard cave. That's exactly what I was thinking, GFE, is that it's going to be over there in the checkerboard cave, which would be ridiculous, because that's a dream. That's a dream for it to be there as viewers and commentators. This is not a doubleheader. This is just going to be a single matchup. Yeah, the thing that I've noticed in these spoiler seeds is that they feel like they would be so rude if not for the fact that you knew where everything was.
Pretty much.
He's going there.
He's going to 6.
Oh, man.
Alright, right, I'm not gonna lie. I know where the Boo Pearl is. I'm not gonna say where it is. I'm just gonna say I know where it is.
I'm just. Oh, okay. So it's just as goofy. Just as goofy. The bow is on. Okay, the bow is on the ledge. Interesting. So, are you? Good lord. This is something else. This is something else.
Meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor is heading into the escape sequence, or at least heading to Hyrule Castle. So, what is zer0rush about to find?
Yeah, it's in the classic spot. It's in the classic spot. I love it. I would have loved EP Big Key. Can't even lie. I would have loved the Eastern Palace Big Key. Because that right there is just solidly the biggest, like, go on a run that you've never wanted to see. So we have the key to Hera. So we were saying in chat that zer0rush was doing better routing, and zer0rush is getting his Dark World access and ability to run through the Dark World a lot faster. But NinTaylor is now going to be able to clear a crystal dungeon on the first visit. So that's probably a slightly better decision, but at the same time, NinTaylor did have to do a lot of running around to kind of make up that time to maybe let the pilot figure out where that was at.
Right.
Even though the Control F feature is there, you got to make sure you type it in and give concise direction. So,
well, and at the same time, just because the thing about this is, it's just the items. It doesn't tell you the progression sequence. You still have to figure out the progression sequence itself. Oh, hey, there's the big key of Eastern.
And there you go. You've got probably that moment of, hey, where is it? Oh, it's in Hera. Oh, where at in Hera? So, you need hookshot for this, my dude. NinTaylor,
yeah,
please.
Yeah, you kind of need that. All right, so there's a Turtle Rock small key. So, and the one thing about this is, we've been talking about what the pilots are doing at this point. So, once you see NinTaylor going to do Hera, so while NinTaylor is having to take the time to do Hera, this is giving Kyong, his pilot, time to work through the log and start figuring out his next steps. So that once he's done with Trolldorm, he has his next route ready and isn't having to flounder around like kind of what we've seen from the start.
And I'm seeing two very different methods here, which I like. I really like. So we're seeing the method of let's get our items and get our requirements from the overworlds from I like big boots. And then kind of retired, we're seeing all right, let's one-stop shop places. Let's not have to double dip as much as we can. Let's go get this if it's available. Let's go do this if it's available and do it all in one stop.
Mm-hmm.
I think either one is just as valuable as the other. So yeah, so it looks like zer0rush was getting an extra heart and getting some bomb refill. That's not too bad. That is actually kind of a good stop to get the bombs. Trying to do the curtain jump to skip out on. Yeah, there we go. Knocking that out. Going to be skipping around. This is a sequence break at this point, but it could probably pay off because there's probably something over at Catfish.
Or he's trying to
Or just heading to Pod?
Yeah. I mean, we haven't seen the hammer yet. So is this, sequence breaking around where the hammer is to go ahead and do Eastern and maybe potentially Pod because you need the hammer. So
the hammer could be French Fidel in Pod. It could be right here mirroring into Sahasrah's hut or even in Eastern. So they're heading this way for something. And just in case if you were wondering, SuperNinTaylor did just get a rating party of 7.
Ouch.
So during the duck, no less.
During the duck, no less. All right, well, zer0rush is he gonna mirror first, or is he going into pod? He's gonna mirror first. So this will be for Eastern first, and then maybe go ahead and mirror into pod.
So we can full clear this, which is nice. So they can at least knock this out. I doubt they would have came here if the hammer wasn't over here, or at least what led to the hammer. This is getting this completed. They had to activate the flute, by the way, Freddy, because the Moon Pearl was in the all classic location checkerboard cave. So, but I wouldn't doubt that something over here leads to the hammer. Now, SuperNinTaylor is actually stealing the key to be able to go right side desert. So desert is required, but that is basically telling me that there's something very important over on right side desert, and the desert small key is in a pretty bumpy location. So, and while we have a moment, while we're kind of seeing a little bit of new content, and we have a moment to see that, I want to give a big shout outs to Yoinker's wife doing her tracking. That it's kind of a tempting thing to go look and see what they're about to get so you can track it ahead of time, but Yoinker's wife doing an awesome job for us. Thank you so much for that. Absolutely.
And there's the hook shot. So that's what they pulled the key for.
Okay.
Meanwhile, zer0rush was gonna rush the boss, but instead he's rushing for some cash.
So that's interesting that the hook shot is over there on the right side of desert. So I wonder if that means... So that means a couple of different things. If hammer is on East Death Mountain, that means that hammer is locked behind itself, essentially. We would need to get the desert small key. So the desert small key is going to be somewhere close to us. So we're looking at that being odd. But I wouldn't put it past what's happening right now on our screen on zer0rush's end, that the hammer is close by, if not something to get the hammer. Now, if we see the desert small key pop up, then we know that the hammer may just be behind the hook shot anyway. So we're going to get that information as well.
What you're also noticing, back to what we talked about earlier, as zer0rush has his first crystal, kind of to your point about of how they're routing. Like, zer0rush did a lot of overworld stuff and is now starting to dip dungeons, where NinTaylor is basically trying to go through areas, trying to go to them as few times as possible. Now, what we don't know is the desert big key somewhere locked behind the hook shot, which is why, okay, we had to do this dip.
Mm-hmm. So the fire rod is in Sahashal's hut. So also another pod small key over there on East Death Mountain. Yeah, so it feels like the fire rod is going to lead them over to Skull Woods, which I'm wondering if that is where our... Okay, so there's the flippers. I'm really interested to see where this is leading, because like the fact that they went to Eastern Palace without... Oops. Eastern Palace is crystal number 2. Our 5-6 crystals are actually in Dark Palace, or Palace of Darkness, excuse me, and the Swamp Palace. Oh, excuse me. All right, so now we're heading back.
I'm guessing, so based on that, since zer0rush didn't pay off the bottle merchant, that was probably to get the cash for the second key. My guess is that they're trying to use trying to go as few keys as possible to be able to get through pod as much as they can.
So they're going through the front door. They're not taking the right side to save a key. So I have a feeling that they're going to be either finding what they need in this dungeon, or they are going to be either getting another key or planning on finding a key along the way, because they can get what, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chests in the back here, so anything could be back here. French vanilla hammer. Wow, that's something else. That's something else. So there must be a Palace of Darkness key back here, because I 100% doubt that they would have come here without having a vanilla pod key. There's got to be something on, either this is money planning because there's something they have to buy down the road, or Zora has something and they're putting it off, like a big key somewhere, or maybe even the small key. So they didn't plan their pod keys. So I can almost see that SuperNinTaylor probably was already told, hey, hammer is in pod, save it. Just save it. Do these other things first. Get these other things here. You're going to need to do them anyway. So it's a real possibility that Zora is required. NinTaylor is grabbing more big keys. The GT big key on Floating Island.
Yeah, we're going to kind of need that.
So if you guessed whatever number that was in the overworld, congratulations. And that's right, they never did their, they never actually did their... Why are you picking up from the bottom?
Zero. That's not how it works, Zero.
He got it this time because he didn't walk too far down, but the more you go down from the bottom, it's going to be more likely that you reset your camera. So we are heading to get our big key from the Sea House. Now, I haven't seen a Thieves Town big key yet, so we might have that locked behind somewhere really odd. We're doing our fake flipper, so there probably is something hidden behind the flickers. Yes, flea flicker. Might be just doing this to be able to get through and get to Zora, because Zora might be the only thing now. Oh, clipped into the wall there for a second.
Just a little bit.
So it's looking like we're not worried about the item on the ledge, which is probably good, because I don't know if they were trying to set up a way to get around that, but you can still splash delete too, so that's also an option.
So the king that lives in the water hands out items of fodder, but the spoiler log in tow, it has the item in tow. It's the big key to Thieves Town. Man, I really screwed up the rhyming.
You tried, though. You tried.
I had like a minute to try to figure out how to make that thing rhyme.
Close enough. We'll give you at least a little bit of a clap, just a little bit. But you know, I can see that the money routing worked out. Now here's the thing, where Eastern Palace is finished by zer0rush, SuperNinTaylor has the ability to now clear Pod and Eastern all in one go.
Yep.
So they're gonna have 3 of their crystals to start off, just like that. So it's pretty well routed, I would say, on SuperNinTaylor's end. Now there is no there's no guarantee to well, there is a guarantee. We can look at the spoiler log, but I'm guessing that the Thieves Town big key or something to lead there is in Thieves Town, because here we are in the front 4 of Thieves Town. Wouldn't that be something if this was the Desert Palace small key to get the hookshot? And like, well, you know, I would expect that the hookshot cave would have been done. Oh, Timber. Nice. He just got the big key. Okay, so I missed that. No, he got the small key.
No, the big key was what zer0rush got from Blind.
Oh. Got from... The big key is what... Oh, yeah, he just got the big... Duh. We even commented on that. He got it from Zora. Yeah, that's a thing. I swear I'm paying attention.
I know we said we weren't going to look at the log, but now that I've actually opened it, I'm kind of glad I did. To kind of help with...
It is Bombos for Turtle Rock, and Misery Mire is Quake. So if we end up seeing Quake picked up at some point, we know that they're going to have to go into Mire. So I'm not afraid to say that out loud to y'all. So because like the medallion requirements is not exactly as much of a spoiler as where they are. So Quake was in Hookshot Cave. I didn't see it picked up. So we see Quake was picked up in Hookshot Cave. We don't know if that was picked up just to make sure, or if that was picked up on purpose because they already looked and found out that they need to go into Mire at some point. Bombos was in our Thieves Town. It was in the Vanilla Big Key spot.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm that's one thing that I'm not going to look up. I'm not going to look up if Lumberjack was required or anything like that, because I kind of want to see if these runners are planning that in and trying to plan that in a certain way. As of right now, it's not really looking like it's required, because we kind of see what we're doing right now. The only thing we haven't seen that's going to be needed at some point is the cane to be able to go further in to Turtle Rock, even though we know where the medallion is for it. So yeah, and there could also be something, second chest Attack Tower or something like that. So,
and the one thing you also have to keep in mind with this is that, again, there's 216, well, even more than that. There's a whole bunch of, there's like more than 216 things they're having to look through in terms of trying to figure out how to log this race. So, you know, I forgot who, it was, Relkin, who's piloting for zer0rush. He may be like, hey, there's the Aga Tower key there, but hasn't had a chance to go check. Okay, is there something in Aga Tower? Is there something on the Lumberjack ledge? We don't know.
So, free big key to Skullwood. You got to get it anyway. You have no way to avoid that. We'll see if it comes into play. Skullwoods is the green pendant. It'll be interesting to find out if they have to kill Moth. So,
but so to finish the point I was making is, you know, Relkin may not have actually looked at it, and so it's like, hey, you're right here, it's not hard to route in, just grab the Castle Tower key, because I haven't had a chance to check, hey, is in fact something in Aga required?
Yeah, they picked it up kind of early, so I'm pretty sure they know if they have to go there or not now. They probably have everything pretty well routed out, so there's something on the Smith chain apparently, as well as, we'll see if this is going to go to Purple Chest or not. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like the Ice Rod. So, we already know where Hookshot's at. We already know where Fire Rod's at. We already know where a lot of things are. So, because Ice Rod is going to be required this seed, because TR is a crystal. Oh, it's for Purple Chest, 100%.
Yeah, he didn't even bother with getting the item from the Smiths. He just got Jeremiah returned, which opened up the chest. So this chest must have something important, like a big key to Desert Palace. Interesting.
So we know that the small key to Desert Palace is going to be needed at some point, because that is going to lead to the hook shot. That's where SuperNinTaylor got it. SuperNinTaylor stole the key from the back. Now, we are also curious to see where they're going to be going. I have to say, I'm liking SuperNinTaylor's routing a little bit better. I like the kind of random retired routing a little bit better, because I'm seeing a lot of single dips, and it's not alienating anything, and they're not having to retrace steps. So we've already been into pod one time to grab the hammer, and we're going to have to go back. So the big key to Skullwoods was needed for the Ice Rod, so it led there. That's wild. So right now, it's coming down to whether or not the amount of the items in specific that zer0rush has collected is going to speed them through, because they have their ability to kill things faster with the fact that they have Tempered Sword. But SuperNinTaylor is making really quick work of things, just showing a massive amount of skill right now and knocking out these bosses like they're nothing. So all right, so we're going over to right side. Now they're going to be doing East Death Mountain without the hook shot, so they're deciding to do it with the hammer instead.
Now zer0rush is going to do his dip into Paradox Cave that we've already seen NinTaylor do.
While NinTaylor is doing the the other thing, doing the routing that they have to do to go grab their big key of Thieves Town.
So considering we're already 28 minutes in with 2.5 dungeons done between the both of them, we should definitely say that please be sure to give both zer0rush and SuperNinTaylor follows on Twitch for the race that they're putting on. Because again, this is undefeated teams. One team's gonna win unless there's a tie, but let's not talk about that.
No, they are going to be fluting away, so no hook shot hover today, folks. So SuperNinTaylor is back to Death Mountain. No, well, they're going to be fluting. Just kidding. Who wants a tie? Raise your flutes. I bet you neither of these teams want a tie. All right, now go.
So, I was just gonna say, because again, their teams are gonna have to do this again later this week. Meanwhile, it looks like we got the swamp play on zer0rush's side.
Oh wow! So instead of stealing the key and getting the hook shot like SuperNinTaylor did, they are doing this essentially staying in logic. That's interesting because they have to. I have a feeling that the Desert Palace small key is in. That's going to be ugly. That is ugly. I'm already like watching this and I'm just floored if the Desert Palace small key is in here. Because once again, that's going to need to live up to my theory that when you add spoilers to it, it is plain and simple. Ugh. Oh man, Ice Rod and a big key in GT. How did they... So I'm guessing they needed a big key in order to get... Wow, man. It's possible. Well, they could diver down if they had the hook shot, but they don't. So they will not be divering down at this point.
Sorry, I forgot I muted myself. I started talking and you're like, dude, why are you talking over me? Oh.
Because I heard nothing.
So anyway, when I was talking to myself, what I was saying was, to reset for those that may have just joined us, we have a spoiler log co-pilot key sanity race. zer0rush from I Like Big Boots has a pilot of his teammate Relkin. Kinda Rando Retired has SuperNinTaylor running, and Kyong is the pilot for that team. And again, this is two 10-0 teams in the, I believe it's the Kakariko division. So somebody's winning and somebody's losing.
Yeah, so we do know where the Ice Rod is. The Ice Rod is in Skullwoods, but you have to go through Thieves Town first in order to get the big key to Skullwoods to use the big key to get the Ice Rod. So Yeah, so we're aware of where almost everything is. Without looking at the spoiler log, the only thing that we're kind of waiting to see if we find is the Cane of Samaria. So silvers for your trouble. That's not too bad. I guess if you have to go over here anyway, then you're going to be grabbing those.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of unfortunate for zer0rush to have to go up and down those stairs more than once. Yeah, and Kyung being the spoiler log tournament champion, that's something. You've got pretty much one of the best. Oh, the Cane of Samaria is over here. So they went to Skullwoods to get the Cane of Samaria. Does that mean that? Ew, so what? The small key to desert is in Turtle Rock? Yuck. The only thing that would have made, like, that's still, like, spoiler log being considered, that's still pretty ugly. That's nasty.
That is very nasty. I mean, but it's kind of interesting watching how they're choosing to route this, because if you think about it, for those that didn't see it, SuperNinTaylor, so the hook shot is on the key locked side of desert. SuperNinTaylor stole the key from the back of desert so he could get the hook shot. And we're assuming that based on the way zer0rush is routing it, the small key to desert has to be in Turtle Rock. So it's interesting seeing these different routes where you've got SuperNinTaylor basically saying, I'm getting the hook shot, not worrying about the logic, and I'll get the small key to desert when I need to finish, when I'm in a go mode, essentially. Whereas zer0rush is trying to stay in logic with what it's leading him towards.
Yeah, and just like Mini Tom Chen just said, a spoiler log is literally a log that is generated with the seed itself. So it's generated, and it is, I guess. Okay, so we're bonking here. All right, so it didn't require a hover; it just required a bonk to get the key here. But it generates the log and it tells you where everything's at, and it gives you the information. Now, most of the time, that's pretty much all the time, that's not the case. It's a spoiler-free seed. In this instance, they have somebody talking to them over their shoulders or in a Discord call saying, hey, the items are here. These runners aren't looking at it. They have somebody piloting or co-piloting with them. So that way it is a matter of communication and skill. Yeah, and I agree with Ak in all honesty. Routing these are not entirely easy. They can be pretty stinking weird. Because you got to look at this. Look at the differences here. Both of these teams are undefeated, and there you go. That's a no small feat by either team. And Kyung was a spoiler seed champion of a tournament, so that's kind of a leg up. That means they have a very good knowledge of what places are called, what they're looking for. They know what they are they kind of understand a routing when it comes to seeing different seeds and things like that when it comes to spoiler logs, and understanding. What's that?
There's the small key to desert.
So it was, oh man, it was in the chain chomp room. That is rough. That is such an ugly place for that to be. To get the hook shot of all things, too. Just do 216 locations and fast, forehead. That's exactly what you should do. And stealing the key. running on back. Now, for Turtle Rock, in order to go all the way to the back, you need to actually have 3 keys, and that's with stealing the Poke Key. So I don't know if another key is going to be in Laser Bridge as typical, or if there's another one in maybe Mimic Cave or something like that. Or you could do the Kern method and just recite the whole log repeated. Well, at this point, stealing the Poke Key like they just did, they have 1 key left. So they have to use that key plus one other one to get all the way back. So they are going to need another one. And there you go.
There's one.
Right in Mimic Cave. So conveniently located. Now, yeah, so the Desert Key being there, stealing a Desert Key is more common in Key Sanity, because, I mean, in all honesty, it's, if there's something over there, or your item layout kind of warrants going over to the right side, because you don't have the big key to desert yet, but you're like, okay, I'm over here, I had to come over here anyway. And in this case, in a spoiler race, and a piloted spoiler race, we know the hook shot was there, and now that's a 100% warranted reason to steal the key, because you don't want to have to go back. You really just don't. You're gonna go over to Turtle Rock, beat Turtle Rock, and then come back. It's just, you're not gonna want to have to constantly go in and out of places and go to Turtle Rock first and then come back and have to dip into, of all places, Swamp to get your Cane of Samaria, to have to go back and go into, like, the fact the hook shot is needed to beat Swamp, and the hook shot is behind the Desert Small Key, which is in Turtle Rock, just bleh.
Yeah.
Bleh.
Now at this point, we pretty much have everything looks like we have everything we need at this point, because we got GT Big Key, we've got enough keys to get through Mire. Realistically, at this point, both runners are kind of in go mode at this point. We've got zer0rush about to get crystal number 3, NinTaylor's about to get his 5th crystal, actually, so he just has to, since he stole the Desert Key, he's essentially going to have to, after Desert, go up to Turtle Rock, make his 1 Turtle Rock play, get the small key to Desert, and then be able to do his, rush to Lammo, whereas zer0rush still has to do Desert, Hera, Pod, and Swamp. And he's already been there once, to Swamp specifically.
And to Pod.
Mm-hmm.
So, really, here's the difference between the 2 runners at the moment. SuperNinTaylor got their items to be in essentially item go mode right now. So they are in item go mode. The only thing that's keeping them from being in total go mode is they're headed to Turtle Rock after this, because they have to in order to beat Desert. So they're going to run through Turtle Rock. They're going to steal the Poke Key. They're going to get their last Turtle Rock key. They're going to go beat Trinex, and then they will be done. So, it's going to be a matter of going into Desert, and Desert's a pretty quick into the back. Now, zer0rush is going to be going into Desert and clearing Desert all at once. The problem is they have to go back to Hera. They've actually dipped Hera, they've dipped Swamp, they have dipped Pod all once. They have literally gone into each of those dungeons once. zer0rush is grabbing more safeties than SuperNinTaylor at this point too, grabbing like the bottle with a fairy and things like that. So I have no qualms saying SuperNinTaylor's ahead. I have no qualms with that.
And zer0rush has his hook shot.
So that's item go mode for zer0rush. And it's looking like each runner ended up picking up something extra that they didn't need to pick up in the form of a key that they weren't forced to pick up. The Quake, I think, was picked up just out of, hey, they probably were told Quake was the medallion, and they hadn't looked into Meyer yet by the time they picked that up. And same thing with the Castle Tower key. Hey, if you need to get that second chest, just go ahead and grab it. It's on the way. So, and that is possible as well. SuperNinTaylor does have the blue cane as a safety, and zer0rush doesn't. But I can imagine that is for many different reasons, possibly just for an early safety, in the case that they didn't get something they were looking for. Maybe hearts along the way, because nobody likes to do 3-heart Ganon, or 3-heart any boss for that matter. So, the only boss that people would prefer doing 3 hearts is ones that you already do 3-heart, like, something like Landmo or something like that, you know? Go on keeping this and T to 6 hearts, like, you're better than this, you're keeping 6 hearts, don't you dare pick up another. Yeah, Armos as well. Armos was the name escaping me. I went to go say Armos and it just, my brain was not functioning. Oh, NinTaylor, go back. Go back.
Yeah, you kind of forgot something, buddy.
Okay. I take it back.
Yeah.
I take it back.
That could be an oops. That's definitely an oops.
I take it back.
And they're realizing they made an oops.
Hey, by the way, did you grab that chest? What chest? You know, the one that has the Desert Palace small key. You didn't say Desert Palace small key. You know you stole one, right? Right. I don't take it back anymore. I don't take it back. I take my takesies backsies back. It's okay. We're okay. This is fine.
Okay, I think I got that.
No tasties backsies. Chat's not letting me have it. Thanks, folks. I appreciate it. Hold me honest.
Yeah, well. I mean, honestly, at this point, the crystal count's really going to be the only difference. Because both have tempered, both have silvers. You know, at this point, they're just go-moding to finish.
Yeah, going back in after finishing was an option too, but the problem is with that act, they wouldn't have been able to do that because they would have ended up going back to, well, no, I guess it sends them to the front once they actually beat the dungeon. Never mind. I lied. Just kidding. Haha. I know how this game worked. So yeah, they could have gone back in after beating it. Just fine. zer0rush also doing diver down, getting it first try from the left side. And NinTaylor not forgetting that last key. So both runners are in go mode 100%. This is the point in time when the person doing the reading and giving them their knowledge and everything like that sits back and doesn't do anything.
They've done the work. zer0rush is making very quick work of Argus.
I disagree about this being as close as you think it is. This is going to come down to how fast can zer0rush get into pod and beat pod. I mean, I don't know. I guess it is closer than it seems because Turtle Rock is already beaten for zer0rush. SuperNinTaylor is just got to go to Desert. Desert's faster than. Actually, it's about equal. I would say it's about equal compared to Pod.
Yeah, the way zer0rush is setting this up is Hera's going to be his last dungeon, and then he's gonna go right into GT from there. Then Taylor, so he's got to do Pod, which he can just rush Helmasaur because he's already been there. And then Taylor's gonna finish Turtle Rock, flute to 6, go finish Lambo, and then flute back.
Axe giving me a hard time, Jeremy. That's all. Axe just giving me a hard time.
Now, again, while we're kind of watching this play out, imagine the nastiness that we saw. We saw Moon Pearl at Checkerboard Cave, where you had to go get Titan's Mitts, and then King's Tomb had your mirror. You had Hammer, French Vanilla in Pod in the compass chest. You had the hook shot on the desert, on the key lock side of desert, where the small key for desert was in the Chain Chomp room of Turtle Rock. And now think about the fact that we're 49 minutes in and both of our runners and
NinTaylor just took a death and is going all the way back. That is really close now. That actually might put zer0rush ahead. Oh, running out of magic. Oh no. Yeah, that's
he's gonna need that.
That's brutal.
That is gonna put zer0rush probably back in an advantage.
That's gonna make it infinitely more close. But with zer0rush doing Pod and already almost getting to Helmasaur here, his Helmasaur is gonna go a lot faster than SuperNinTaylor's, even with NinTaylor's just essentially perfect execution with Master Sword. So, like, unfortunately, up to this point, execution-wise, NinTaylor has really done a phenomenal job of execution. The thing that is unfortunate was running out of magic there. That really did a number on him. zer0rush has safety in the form of a bottle, which has a fairy already in it. So, but zer0rush being already done with Bowels of Darkness now, going to be heading to their last dungeon of Tower of Hera. They're going to be able to mirror in front of it and just step right into GT and start their climb. SuperNinTaylor's got to do Desert and then Flute. So the bottle was actually on the Desert Torch. So while we have a moment, I want to go ahead and give a huge shout out to a few people here. One, definitely to the runners, zer0rush, SuperNinTaylor, doing a fantastic job, showing us some pretty flawless execution. They're absolutely fantastic and showing why both of their teams are 10-0, as well as each of their pilots in the form of Relkin and Kyong, respectively, as well as our tracker, Yoinker's wife, as well as my co-commentary, Jax Refi. Everybody, in this team doing a fantastic job. Fear Agent putting all this together and, really just being an awesome person all around as well. So.
And of course, I'll give a shout out back to Unknown Availability for those shout outs. So, you've got both runners finishing their 6th crystals. NinTaylor, after taking that death, is now still going to have to go back to Desert and finish off Lambo. zer0rush just has to do Hera and then Mirror, and he's right in GT. So, I would say at this point, the advantage, because of that death, unfortunately, the advantage is to zer0rush. But, again, we're dealing with runners that have 6 and 7 hearts, respectively. Yes, zer0rush has a fairy, but one, again, green male, one Ganon hug, boom, you're dead.
Yeah, these, something tells me that these runners, the fact that they picked up they had to go by there anyway. is kind of the way they probably did that. Kind of like zer0rush going and getting that extra heart that they did from the... Oh, wow, doing a cool little buffer strat. I haven't seen the select buffer strat for doing the boots method. That was actually really nifty there for doing the Harapot. And, you know, to mention, speaking of the Desert Palace thing, they did the routing without... When in reference to the logic, they did the Desert Palace thing. They didn't go grab the Tower of Hera big key like SuperNinTaylor did. So, they just did Harapot to skip right past that. Keep in mind, as of like, what, 3 weeks ago, I think it was, Harapot was not allowed. So, Harapot has infinitely changed the game in the way these seeds are being ran.
So zer0rush is going to be first in the GT as SuperNinTaylor is finishing his 7th crystal.
All the meme guesses. Oh no, this seed has not been speedy. This seed has been spoiler. Yeah, so for those of you just joining us, the reason why we were at 55 minutes and getting into Ganon's Tower at this moment in time is because this is a spoiler race. So this is a spoiler key sanity where they have a co-pilot. Somebody is reading to them the locations and telling them where to go and telling them, hey, this is your route, this is what you're looking for, etc., etc. Well, with that being said, if this seed was not spoiler, I guarantee you it would be over 2 hours, even for some of the best runners. Because the fact is, it required you to go... The hookshot was on right side desert. The small key to desert was in Turtle Rock. The cane was in swamp. So you had to dip swamp to get your cane, to go to Turtle Rock to get your hook shot from desert. So, and that's not even considering where the other keys may have been. I do not remember. So. Yeah, and Moon Pearl checkerboard. Moon Pearl checkerboard. I forgot to say that. With the glove, the first glove was easy. The second glove was on Old Man. You had to go up to Death Mountain. So yeah, you got your glove from Death Mountain. And the mirror was also in a pretty bad spot too, if I'm not mistaken. The mirror was, the bow was on the ledge. The mirror was somewhere really stupid. I'm having trouble remembering. Because...
You said bow, right?
King's Tomb Mirror. King's Tomb Mirror. That's what it was.
Yep.
So you had to go and get the mirror from King's Tomb after going up to Death Mountain to get the second glove to be able to do that. So just yeah. And then Hera had the flute as well in order to be able to go get the Moon Pearl.
And going back to what I was saying before, before Nintaylor took that death, because you've got all of that nastiness, and we're just now at 57 minutes. If this was a non-spoiler race, like, we'd be here for probably a good another hour. At least.
And each of them have one key, so.
And this is where spoiler, trying to do it as fast as you can is going to come in, because again, they're at 7 hearts, no powder. zer0rush only has 3 hearts. He has a fairy in a bottle, but Once he gets to Ganon, one Ganon hug and it's game over.
Now, funny enough, the last sword is actually in Hope Room. I went ahead and looked that up. Memes!
Yep.
He doesn't need magic right now. He's gonna need it for Ganon, but he doesn't need magic to do this, so he's probably gonna do something to get magic right after this.
But geometry test time for zer0rush.
zer0rush does not have a potion. He has a fairy in a bottle.
Let me check something.
I can tell you half magic is not going to be somewhere to go. Very well done on Aga 2.
Oh, so...
No.
The Pyramid Fairy has a bottle of blue potion, but it's not open, so they wouldn't be able to... That would not be fast. Basically, zer0rush is going to have just enough magic to light the torch once to get through Ganon. Right. So, 2 hearts, 1 fairy, that's all zer0rush has, and Taylor's in the shoulder on 2. So zer0rush is gonna have to be careful. Alright. Dodging well, into
He
phase
can
range.
still take a death. It's just he has to time his what do we call it, lamp hits. Forgive the robotic voices, folks. I think we're having trouble. But alright, zer0rush just finished. And that is a time of 1 hour 55 seconds. And again, forgive us, the core is having issues at the moment. We will try to get zer0rush and SuperNinTaylor in here in just a moment.
Alright, so Taylor's on the phase 3. Alright, check 1, 2.
We should be back.
We should be back.
Yeah, Discord went green. I think Discord was just having a major malfunction, but we are close to a finish on SuperNinTaylor's side.
Oh,
Getting a double.
getting a double, almost had a triple. Alright, so, while we wait for NinTaylor to get through the fanfare, we can tell you the Did you call zer0rush's SRL time?
I did, but let me recall it. It's going to be 1 hour and 55 seconds. I forget, I forgive us again for the robotic stuff. We can't control Discord, but please announce SuperNinTaylor's.
Yes, because NinTaylor now finished with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 34 seconds. GG's to both of our runners for that exciting race. And
All right, we're dragging them in now.
Okay.
Boom!
Right.
Hey.
Hello.
So,
GG's to all of you.
Thank you.
yes, GG's, and I have to say, zer0rush and Relkin from I Like Big Boots taking the win of these two undefeated teams. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. That
So,
was a tense one.
yeah, so the question that I think a lot of people would like to know, once we saw the hook shot relatively early, and I say early considering this seed was absolute butts if it wasn't spoiler.
Yeah.
Was it a hard decision to not steal the key, or did maybe y'all just forget that y'all could I hate to even accuse you of forgetting to do that, because frankly
It's a fair accusation. It was very, very easy to not steal the key because we didn't put 2 and 2 together until like 5 minutes later. For whatever reason. We were so concerned about pod keys and money and bombs, but the important thing is that now we know.
Yeah, okay. I'll go ahead and speak for what happened here, kind of. I misread and thought that the desert small key was on purple chest, so we could get the hook shot earlier, but it was a big key on purple chest, and the small key, the desert, was in Turtle Rock. So
fair enough.
Yes, so that was a big misread on my part, and we could have thought about that much sooner had I not misread it.
Fair enough, because that that'll bring me to my next question, and then I'll let Jax Reffy take a couple questions here for the other side, SuperNinTaylor and Kyong. This literally came down to the magic situation on Trinex. So I hate to bring up something that is obviously so frustrating. I hate doing that as a commentator, but did you think it was that close? Did you think that you still had time? Did that make you feel behind? What?
Yeah, I knew it was fairly close, and once I died to Trinex, I was just thinking aside, I'm sorry, Kyung, I just lost this whole race. I even told him, I was like, I screwed up, I'm sorry.
Honestly, I was surprised it was even that close, because I didn't realize you guys didn't kill Helma on the first go into pods. And in my head, we were much more behind than I expected.
Yeah, we messed up the key situation a bit. Like, we went to Eastern and Pod, but we only had one key, and
yeah.
Because where the hammer was, we couldn't get to the back, so we had to leave and then go back. We had to get money out of Eastern first, because I messed up Houlihan somehow. I think I didn't pan the camera high enough at the beginning of the seed. So we had a lot of kind of unfortunate things go wrong at the very beginning. But once we kind of figured out, once we kind of figured out what we were doing, we got back on track and rallied. And I told Rucken, I was like, we're behind, but anything can happen. This game is very hard, especially in GT and obviously Trinex. Yeah,
like
so
5 hearts, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, don't say anything else to me until they're in. Like, tell me when they enter Ganon's Tower, and I'll focus on actually just playing the game until that point. So, like, he didn't even tell me you guys died on Trinex until after I entered GT, which is pretty nice.
So, one thing that was kind of curious for zer0rush and Relkin was, it was interesting how you guys turn jumped to go for the hammer, but then I guess because of the money situation, you guys ended up not utilizing it to its fullest, because you guys ended up farming cash and not actually finishing pod when I assumed you wanted to. What was going on there?
I'm fairly certain we needed another key, and we had already used 2 of them.
Yeah, they had to get another key, and
We
which
got
actually
that one with hook shots. Yeah.
so you missed the the Houlihan room on the first try.
Yep. Yeah, and then when I went back the second time, I went back to the hole, even though I had gloves, and I could have just did it from the sanctuary drop down. That kind of annoyed me too, but that's like 10 seconds, so I guess it's not bad. I don't know.
Yeah, so missing that Houlihan room, like you could have grabbed that pod key earlier. But even then, it ended up working out. The fact that you finished at Hera and ended up doing Hera pod to get through and not having to use the big key at all, it was very useful. Where honestly, SuperNinTaylor and Kyong, they actually went and grabbed the Hera key to finish Hera when they went up there first. Which honestly,
because of the 300 rupees on Moldorm, I wasn't exactly sure how we were going to deal with Zora at that point. So I was like, okay, since we're gonna have to go there, may as well just grab the big key and kill Moldorm there and grab those 300 and see how we're gonna be dealing with Zora, blue spot money, and all that.
Yep.
And
yeah, I saw the 300 on Moldorm 2, and then we realized, oh yeah, maybe we could have routed this in instead of doing a bunch of other weird stuff. Like I was even considering doing race game at one point, or not race game, arrow game at one point if I needed to, but we didn't need to, so I guess it worked out.
There's actually a question from chat that's actually a very interesting question. The pickup of the Castle Tower key in Thieves Town, was that because of I didn't look? What was up with that?
Just muscle memory. I have a habit of opening chests and walking places just in the zone. Like I went into Sick Kid house for some reason.
You went back into well.
Yeah, well that one was Relkin's fault. He was like, "You definitely missed that chest in there. I don't see it," and I'm like, "Pretty sure I grabbed it." And he's like, "Nope, you definitely missed it." And then he was like, "Oh yeah, that was a small key, not a big key. Never mind."
Yep, that was all my fault.
Yeah, I was about to say either he's about to come in and say, "No, it was your fault," or I don't know.
Yeah.
But so with that, I do want to go ahead and start to bring it up to a close. Very well done by both teams, and I'm really looking forward to the next race. So any final words from SuperNinTaylor and Kyong? Do y'all want to I don't know, throw some side jabs and say we'll get you next time, or what?
Oh, I already know we're gonna get him next time.
Says the guy that's not even playing.
Yeah. I got faith in you guys. You're gonna win because I'm not playing. No more trying tests.
It's fine. We learned all our lessons this time, so Relkin's spoiler log reading will be immaculate next time.
We learned our lesson.
I'll actually be just another Kyong and really go head to head. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks to all of you for putting on this very entertaining race that we got. Everyone, please be sure to give both zer0rush, SuperNinTaylor, Kyong, and Relkin follows on Twitch. Once again, want to give a shout out to our tracker Yoinker's wife, having to keep track of all those items at a breakneck pace. And my co-commentator, Unknown Availability. Always pleasure to have you in the commentary booth, and I'll give it to you for the wrap-up.
Absolutely, and big shout-outs to Jex Refi as well. And once again, to Fear Agent for this Link to the Past Rando League Season 2. Really just taking off like a soaring eagle, doing such a fantastic job. We're getting all these races restreamed as much as we can. And shout-outs to Speed Gaming for letting us use their platform as well. And with that, I've been Unavailability. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe and come back for more Rando coming real soon. I know we've got a lot of matches for tomorrow and throughout the week for more spoiler log co-pilot key sanity races.
And I'm Jex Refi. See you next mission.